Hi, nice to see you. Studying the Gospel of Mark, 5 minutes at a time. It's variable, of course, based on how long the reading is, but we have a short one today again, so we will step into it. Chapter 1, this time, verses 9 through 11. Just a couple. Let's read them. In those days, Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John. And just as he was coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens torn apart and the Spirit descending like a dove on him. And a voice came from heaven, "You are my Son, the Beloved. With you I am well pleased." So, what we see here is Jesus in the desert with many, many people who have come out from Jerusalem, and he's being baptized. And we know the story of John feeling uncertain about whether or not he is qualified to baptize the Son of God. And you can understand how that might be intimidating, but Jesus makes it very clear that he is there to be in solidarity with humanity. That God has come down into the desert, to a river, to be baptized by John just like everyone else. And it's interesting, the imagery that circles around here harkens back in the mind of the Israelites to Moses in the desert. He was out there with his sheep. He met God in a burning bush. He went to Egypt and he brought the people of Israel back out into the desert where they were formed and molded and cared for and learned to trust the living God. And Jesus does this as well, the symbolism of the Exodus. Through the leadership of Jesus, but also the presence of God all wrapped up is what we're looking at. And in the promise then is to lead the people of Israel in solidarity from their sinfulness to the power of what it means to be in divine relationship with God. And in the image of the heavens being rent apart, right? The heavens being torn open, and as if a dove came down, a dove that they'd never seen fly up, it comes down and it lands upon Jesus or floats over Jesus. And the dove, as you know, represents the Holy Spirit. And this represents a new possibility. Again, we talked about beginnings yesterday. A new beginning, a new way of communicating between humanity and between God. That's what Jesus is. Jesus is God coming into the world to give us a model that we can both live our lives in the likeness of and understand. I always say that if Jesus came as a squirrel, we wouldn't have any way to understand, to communicate, to emulate the life of a squirrel. But he came as a man, a human being. So all of us can be in communication with God through the image and likeness of Jesus that we see in ourselves. And he's in the River Jordan, and the River Jordan's a wonderfully symbolic place because it starts at the Sea of Galilee, which is lively and full of life and vibrant and vital and a place of life and health because that's where people fish, but also a place of chaos because big storms come up and boats get tossed around. And so there's this dynamism, and then out of it going south. And I think it's the Rift Valley, all the way down to the Dead Sea, which is dead. Lowest place on earth, actually. And so the solidarity, the word, that's the word we're looking at today, solidarity, comes between us and God through the person of Jesus, but also the solidarity you and I have with all of life, the vibrancy, the chaos, the tumult, the work, the fishing, the movement of the water, and also death and stillness, isolation and loneliness. And so the baptism of Jesus takes place in all of this, right? In these waters of life. My invitation to you today is to think about what you're in solidarity with. How are you in solidarity with God? How are you in solidarity with your neighbor? How are you in solidarity with reality of who you are? Made, born in a particular place with a certain trajectory of life. I invite you to pray about that and consider that today. I'm glad to be with you. Peace upon your soul.